Hi, Monday morning, and I woke up to the headlines coming out of law.com, fantastic website. If you haven't already been there, go to law.com, get all your news and views. Some of it's free. Um, to another office in Hong Kong, another foreign law office in Hong Kong closing down. I'm joining you today from my mother-in-law's uh, apartment in Cape Town, and there we go. There's a bit of building work going on over there. We're having our own building work done in our house, which is why we're staying here at the moment. Anyway, so obviously, those of you who are familiar with the channel know that I lived in Hong Kong for almost 9 years, built up a legal recruitment business there from 2009. Um, you know, really on the fallout of the global financial crisis and saw what was happening, what had changed. I met a lot of people in business and in personal life who'd been there for a number of years before the global financial crisis, saw what was happening. We were there during 2012 when Europe looked like it was about to collapse because of the Greek issue. There was 2014, I think it was, when there was the Umbrella Revolution and Occupy Central, things like that. And I just saw how, for no finer point on it, how the CCP was really strangling the city and how it was going to maneuver and move forward with its plan to effectively just completely and utterly take over and ignore the what do they call it? One country, two systems or something. But anyway, long story short, the effect on law firms, foreign law firms in particular, has been fairly damaging. And it's been a gradual thing. I mean, even from you take Shenzhen, which is on Hong Kong's doorstep. I think back in, you know, 50 years ago or so, it was still a fishing village. It's now home to a population of 70 million. Just Google Shenzhen, Shenzhen, and have a look at what it's doing there. It's become a technology hub. It's got its own stock exchange, and it's literally you can see it from Hong Kong, and that's been built up largely as a competitor to Hong Kong, which you still have to cross the border for and go into mainland China for. Anyway, these are all things, and I could talk about 5,000 different things that the CCP has done to Hong Kong as a city and as a people. But I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about its effect on international law firms and therefore opportunities for foreigners like myself and others who had moved there in the past. I think it's drying up. So this morning, the news coming out of law.com is that Decca is scaling back massively. And if you Google Hong Kong, Hong Kong law firm closures, you'll see even this year, in the last 6 months, Proskauer Rose, have, I think they've closed their mainland China offices. Nathan Watkins locked all their Hong Kong lawyers out of their shared international databases. Um, this morning, Decca has said it's scaling back massively in Hong Kong, getting rid of their corporate team, which is crazy because corporate is where all the work comes from. And Winston Strawn closed their offices in January. EY closed their legal law firm offices in February. So the list goes on, and this has been going on for 5, 6 years, and maybe even longer. And I've said it since I moved to South Africa, and I've said it subsequently more. And why do I keep talking about it? Because it's my former home. It's where I had my children. It's where I built my business. It used to be a wonderful place for foreign professionals to go out and get work in at that point, the fifth largest economy in the world. And this is all drying up. And, I remember going to, as a sort of sidebar, but related, I remember going to Beijing when about 2013, 2014, and I met with a lot of the partners in Chinese mainland offices. So Chinese law firms rather than international law firms in China. And quite a lot of them really just would shake their heads saying the future for foreign law firms is very bleak because the CCP doesn't want them there. So they'll do things like they'll have they'll have favorable tax rates if you work at a Chinese law firm as opposed to a foreign law firm. And that's throughout. So it's really difficult for foreign law firms to attract talent. It's not so much in Hong Kong, it's more in the mainland part of China, as they call it, mainland China. Um, but that'll obviously be coming part of the same thing in Hong Kong. And with the big driver in that region to being Chinese clients, then there's a big pressure on them to use Chinese law firms. So again, unless you've got international clients doing a lot of work in China, which is drying up, then you're not really getting any local work. And again, these are all sweeping statements and everybody's problem is different. But then you've got to look at going forward. And geopolitical lines are being drawn in the sand. If you are an American law firm, you're probably looking at leaving China. There's always been the problem with safety and security over data. Always. It's not it's a known fact in business. That data it can be accessed. There's always issues with intellectual property. There always has been, and there always will be. And that's something that a lot of foreign law firms navigated for quite a while, but maybe they stop, maybe they run out of energy, maybe the upside isn't strong enough for them to stay there anymore. But for me, the future is in the region still, certainly Singapore, Vietnam, Thailand, Indonesia, but Japan, South Korea. There's plenty of work for foreign law firms in that region, just not in China. And that means that there's no real opportunities for foreign lawyers as well. And I would suggest anybody looking to expand their career would stop looking at Hong Kong now and keep looking at the region, keep looking at Asia, looking for opportunities there, but scrap Hong Kong and China from your list. And actually, on our Legal Unicorns podcast, we are hoping to have a South African lawyer who moved to Hong Kong as I moved from Hong Kong to South Africa very soon. And if he joins us on the podcast, I'm going to be quizzing him about how difficult he's found it to find work, what he thinks the outlook for the city is going to be, not just for foreign law firms, but also for professionals like himself, and see what the opportunities are for African lawyers in general. Anyway, stay safe, have a great Monday, and let's keep looking and let's keep talking about it.